Hey guys, what's going on? B-Dog here. So today I am going to be covering the Freddy Rework and just some very important things that I thought that were very interesting during the live stream. So I'm just going to go over just just a few different topics and just kind of explain them and kind of what I gathered from the stream and just kind of give my input on them. But before we hop right into our first topic, I just want to go ahead and say that the PTB is on a Tuesday, July 9th. So if you're interested in participating in that, I know I'm going to. It is on July 9th. But let's go ahead and go into our first topic. Alright, so the first big change that I want to talk about is the fact that he now has two different sleep modes. So the first one is called micro sleep, and then obviously there's the actual dream state. But with micro sleep, it allows you to see him within 16 meters. But then when you are completely asleep, you can see him within 32 meters. But he phases in and out of the real and dream world. Also, it seems like Freddy can hit you without you fully being asleep, just like a normal killer, but he has to be within 16 meters for you to see him. So I'm really happy about that change. Now we don't have to wait a full 7 seconds for you to be able to hit someone. I think it's about time that they made that change, and I could not be happier with that. I think that was kind of one of Freddy's biggest issues, at least playing as Freddy, is waiting that 7 seconds to get a hit on a survivor. But the other thing that I want to talk about is when you are awake, you hear a terror radius instead of the lullaby, so it's almost just like a normal killer, kind of like what I was referencing earlier, is he is essentially a normal killer now. He just kind of phases in and out of the real and dream world. And then once you are asleep, you hear the lullaby instead of the terror radius, kind of like how it is now. But the cool thing about the lullaby, though, is that it is no longer directional. So it's much harder to tell where he's coming from, and it gets louder as he gets closer rather than it's completely directional. They also made a reference to that they are doing something similar to the Huntress, but that's all that was really said on that. But let's go ahead and go to our second tip that I thought that was pretty cool. The second thing that I found interesting about the Freddy rework is that Freddy no longer has an action speed debuff while in the dream state, but they now have add-ons that essentially have debuffs for action speeds, but it's no longer going to be 50% on action speeds. They said it's going to be a reduced amount, but they really didn't say what changes would happen, so there's no number that is out there yet. Unfortunately, we haven't figured any of it out yet, but it is going to be less than 50%. Then also the other thing that I want to cover is his new sleep mechanic. It takes 60 seconds to fall completely asleep as a survivor, but it works very similar to a passive ability that just kind of happens at all times. However, it can be countered by missing a skill check, missing a Sabo skill check, getting woken up by a teammate, or using the new alarm clocks that wake you up. Each clock is unique to each survivor, unlike how the pig's jigsaw boxes are. You will have a unique box that is just for you, but it is the furthest box away from you, so you're going to have to travel a little bit to wake up, but it gives you an extra 30 seconds before falling asleep again. And then the other change that is kind of important is if you use a teammate to wake you up, it takes longer for them to wake you up after each time of falling asleep. The first time is 8 seconds, then the second time is 12 seconds, and then the third time is 16 seconds. You can only do this to a sleeping survivor, obviously, but the sleeping survivor has to be fully healed, and I kind of have an issue with this only due to the fact of they were really adamant on prioritizing healing over waking the survivor up. Now, I get what they're getting at as far as since Freddy's essentially just a real killer now, he's no longer, 7 seconds before he can hit you. But the survivor now has to be fully healed before you can wake them up, which I'm a little iffy on it. I think it's going to be interesting to see how that works out and how that plays in the PTB. But let's go ahead and go to the third topic. The third topic that I thought that was very interesting with the new rework is these new traps that are called dream snares. So essentially, this is a trap that only works on survivors that are fully asleep. It is a pool of blood, and if you run into it, it slows down your speed by 15%, and it prevents you from fast vaulting, similar to how the clown's gas works or the doctor's shock treatment. And you also get a notification of where the survivors are at, kind of like the doctor. Once you shock them, you know their location. Now, there is no slowdown or unique animation when laying down these traps, but they did say, however, it does take a second for it to work, so you can't put it, you can't hit the survivor and then put the trap in front of them. So it does kind of have a little bit of a cooldown type effect, so you can't just repeatedly spam it. The other cool thing is that you have 8 traps, so once one is used and it works, you essentially get that trap back, very similar to the hag. The other thing that they noted is that these traps are going to have side effects. They're going to have like weird status effects that have add-ons, and I'm interested to see what they are going to be because they really didn't go into much detail about it, but I'm interested just to see what status effects can happen with them. I'm sure they got something cool up their sleeve, but let's go ahead and go on to our next topic. The fourth thing that I found very interesting about the stream is his other new ability that he has, and that is called Dream Projection. This allows him to teleport to generators on the map and apply map pressure. So when this happens, you as a survivor will kind of know when it's going to happen. So essentially, he will teleport to the gen, and you'll have like a little aura, kind of like how like the doctor is whenever you're in madness, but blood will shoot out of the generator, and then the player playing as Freddy will take control and then just be right there and just teleport to the generator. This is a very cool ability, at least in my opinion. The only issue that I kind of have with it is, which I could see where it's going to be a lot of it's going to cause a lot of problems early on. I'm interested just to see how it all works out. But anyways, this power has a cooldown of 45 seconds, but if survivors are asleep, it gets a 50% cooldown decrease. So essentially, if you get a lot of survivors asleep, you are going to be able to teleport to generators rather quickly. Like I said, I'm interested just to see how all that goes down, just because I don't know how that's going to be balanced in a way. I mean, it's a really cool ability, but overall, like, I think it's a very good idea. I think there's probably going to be some tweaks in the PTB, but we'll see how it goes. But let's go ahead and go to our fifth and final topic. Alright, the last thing that I want to cover, which I thought was very interesting in the stream, is how they were talking about Freddy's add-ons. They really didn't go too in-depth with his add-ons, really. They really only stressed one. And anyways, the one that they were talking about and stressing was that Freddy can place fake pallets, similar to how the Doctor can with certain add-ons. He can make illusionary pallets, but Freddy can actually place them. Now, this only works on sleeping survivors, but the way it works is the sleeping survivor would drop a pallet, and essentially it would explode and turn into blood, and even if you try to stun Freddy, it does nothing to Freddy whatsoever. And your aura is revealed for a few seconds. Now, he does have a limit of pallets that he can use, and it is 10, but they replenish just like his traps. So I think this is a very cool thing that they're adding this to the game, especially for Freddy. I'm excited just to see how it all works out. I think it's going to make him very strong as far as like mind games, and it's going to make survivors really pay attention to how they use pallets and how to just use pallets in a much better way instead of just always wasting them. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I had a lot of fun making this like I always do. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'll catch you guys later.